Could we be living in a reality where most of the people walking amongst us are soulless beings? Today I want to talk about a really interesting concept which I'm really surprised I've only just come across this concept, but it's the idea that there are people in this world that literally do not have a soul. Some people prefer to use the term NPC, which means non-player character. When I heard about this concept, it really blew my mind. And before I discuss what my thoughts are about this, I first need to back up and really paint the picture of what this concept is. This is a very deep subject, and while I do stress this is a concept, I encourage you to open your mind to the possibility that this could be true, because I found this to be a really mind-altering concept. So anyway, if you've ever seen the movie The Matrix, by the way, I haven't. Loads of people in the conspiracy community bang on about The Matrix. I personally don't really vibe with that film, but if you have seen it, it'll be a lot easier to conceptualize this. So the idea is that the reality that we live in right now is actually a simulation, almost as if we're living inside a video game, and our soul or our consciousness is in our body, but our body is just an avatar. So while you're playing this video game of life, there are other people around you, some of which do have a soul and conscious awareness, but then there are many other people that are these non-player characters. And here are some of the telltale signs that someone is in fact a non-player character. Sign number 1 is that they have never ever questioned reality. The reason being that they are not supposed to question reality because they have basic programming and they do not have original thought. They do not have the ability to look outside the box because in order to do that you have to have a soul. Sign number 2 is that because they have no original thought, their conversation is very limited. They're only able to speak about very basic mainstream things. They're fluent in small talk, but the moment that you try to talk to them about any deep topics, their reaction is often very jolted, or sometimes they'll just stare into space and then they'll change the subject very quickly. And no matter how many times you try and have a deeper conversation with these non-player characters, it's like there's a message in their brain that says, "Do not compute." Another sign is that when you talk to them, you often feel very drained afterwards, and it always feels like there is something missing. Like there's a disconnect, like you cannot connect to them on a soul level. It almost feels like they are an empty vessel. Another telltale sign is that they are very shallow. Their entire existence revolves around materialism, consumerism. They don't show any desire for human connection. Everything is very surface level and they seem to be 100% content with that. So, that is the concept. Now what I want to discuss is the potential repercussions of buying into this concept. And I am going to start with the positives because there is a lot of aspects to this that, as a truth seeker, I do find this idea to be very liberating, almost too liberating. I have spent my entire life with the idea that every single person on this earth has a vibrant soul and a great big purpose and a mission that they have to achieve. Yet, at the same time, I have encountered so many examples of people that fit this perfect description of a non-player character. So many times I have encountered a stranger and I've had a conversation with them, and I always want to talk about deeper subjects. I really cannot stress it enough. I hate small talk. I really do think that small talk is a waste of breath. It's draining beyond belief. I just don't have the patience or the time for fakery. I'm always craving an intellectually stimulating conversation, and 9 times out of 10, it backfires. And then there is the rare occasion that I actually come across someone who has a shining aura that you can almost spot them from across the room, and you just get this feeling and think, they're different. I can feel their energy. And I know that me talking about this is gonna resonate with so many people that are awakened, because we all have this experience. Comment below if you relate to this. But the thing that I always believed was that everyone is born with a soul, with a vibrant soul, and the thing that makes people become dull and boring and lifeless is simply indoctrination. It's simply that the system has crushed them, and I feel like it's my duty to try and wake them up. But a lot of the time, these people really don't want to be woken up. They get really uncomfortable when you talk about any kind of deep subject. I mean, I often ask people, what do you think the meaning of life is? Or where do you think you go when you die? And you would not believe how many people have turned around and said, I've never really thought about it, to be fair. And I just think, how is that possible? I always racked my brain thinking, how on earth can you live all the way through life and you've never questioned where you came from? You've never questioned, why are we here? What's the purpose? Is there a God? I mean, I don't question, is there a God? I know that there's a God. It's pretty obvious, really. I mean, look around you. Do you think that all of this stuff has just been created by accident, really? Everything in nature seems to have a divine order, but, oh yeah, it was just a big bang. Come on. I'm trying not to go on a tangent here, but it's me, so... When I heard this concept, I feel like my mind did a complete 180. It gave me a whole new perspective, and it answered questions that I have had all of my life. I also found it really liberating because I've always struggled with people pleasing and caring what people think of me, and this whole NPC concept just instantly made me not care at all. My mission has always been to wake people up. It's like an inbuilt instinct that I have. And most of the time what it does is it causes me to over-explain myself, try to find new ways of saying the same thing, hoping that they'll understand in that way. You know, when I film my videos, I have it in my mind that if a person who is asleep is watching my video, I hope that this video wakes them up. So then the pressure is on to try and present as much evidence as possible, try and explain as much logic as possible. But when you buy into the concept that the people who are asleep aren't even real, you know, they're just blank, generic grey faces, where is the desire to wake them up? Which leads me to the dark side of believing in this concept. First off, some people give an analogy and they use the term background people, and they say, imagine that your life is like a film. You're the main actor, you have other people who are playing the main parts, but then you have extras that are just filling in the background to make the film come across as more realistic. When it's explained this way, it fuels the ego. It fuels narcissism. It not only can create a toxic mentality whereby you're disregarding people that you don't know and putting yourself on this elevated status above everyone else, but on top of that, it can cause you to lose empathy. Think about it. If you disregard so many people as not having a soul and just being programmed generic vessels, then you lose all compassion and all empathy for anyone that you choose to disregard as an NPC. It creates the idea of us versus them. It also diminishes your desire to wake them up. And these are just my initial concerns. I'm not actually saying for definite that it is or isn't true, because ultimately I can say from personal experience this concept really does answer a lot of questions, as I said before, but no one is able to prove this for definite. Some people claim that there are scientists that have actually talked about this concept, which raises some red flags really, because science has now become a global cult. And another thing that people need to be aware of is that in with science is quantum physics, right? Which used to be called quantum theory, and now they've kind of pushed the theory part out and just call it quantum physics. But did you know that quantum physics is not based on any proof? Quantum physics is concepts and theories. And most of these theories that people talk about are so abstract and complicated that a lot of people will nod and go along with it because they don't want the embarrassment of saying, I don't understand what you're saying. And this entire concept of us being in a simulation is quantum physics. It's theory. And while there are many anomalies that happen, like really weird anomalies such as large groups of people glitching, people on the streets acting very weird, video footage of vehicles disappearing, you could say that that is evidence that we're living in a simulation. But there could be other explanations for it. I am extremely spiritual. I fully believe that there are so many things going on that we can't see through our perception. But I always get suspicious when the mainstream starts pushing an ideology that starts to gain traction. The concept of NPCs gained popularity after many people watched the mainstream film called The Matrix. The fact that The Matrix has had sequel after sequel and is such a mainstream popular film just screams to me that there is something to be suspicious of. And we do know that one of the agendas going on right now is for us to dehumanize one another and for us to become divided into all these different subcategories, to separate people into groups like left wing, right wing, LGBTQ, New Age, Christian. They want us all to be divided because they're terrified of what will happen when we unite. So yeah. I am so open to hearing your comments about this. Let me know if you have more information on this. What do you think of this concept? Do you think that you've encountered NPCs? Let me know in the comments below. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit the notification bell. Love you, bye!